Sweet.
We are live on YouTube, and Dimitri's going to do his thing now.
I have to do it because I haven't done it. Well, I mean, I've done it, but nobody has seen me. So, hello, my fellow Vapers. Welcome to an episode of Vape Team Media. We're trying out this Google thing, Hangouts on air. Before we get some details, of course, let me say hello to everybody. I'm going to start from my technical producer and the producer of Vape Team Media, Mr. Jamie Richards. What's up, Jamie?
Less technical, more behind the scenes now. Life's been busy, man. I'm sure you've been feeling the same thing, but
absolutely,
life's changing quick.
It's nice to be able to wear clothes for a show because the last 3 or 4 smoke-free radios have been nice and freedom for me. Let me move on.
I don't even want to know, man.
Let me move on to the newest member of the Vape Team Media, our correspondent from Arizona, Mr. Dane Smith. What's up, Dane?
Hey, Dimitri, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful, sir. How are you?
Good, good. Sweating.
It's kind of odd seeing you without a hat. I'm always used to seeing you with a hat on.
I know. I kind of feel naked without one. It's weird, especially in the sun. You know, the heads blister really easy.
It's a nice look for you, though. You're like the Mr. Clean of vaping.
Exactly.
Let's move on to the beautiful, to the talented, to the lovely Miss Stephanie. How are you doing, Stephanie?
I'm doing fine. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you, too. We've missed seeing your beautiful face. Of course, we're seeing it through the videos. We're going to talk about the way that the Vape Team Media channel is evolving. How is life for you? Everything okay?
Yep, I'm hanging in there.
Awesome. Let me move on down to Mr. Big Cloud himself. Through the clouds with Uncle Dagger, Mr. James Martin. What's up, James?
What's happening? Yeah, I'm just getting used to being live on the air again. This is kind of weird now.
I don't know if it's the Diacetyl that you've been vaping, but your beard looks a little bit shinier today.
Oh, it is. I'm getting some gray in there too. I think that's
you're letting it grow out. What are you trying to be, like a Duck Dynasty?
I wish I had their money.
That's great. But nice to see you again, James. Awesome job on the last couple of videos that you've done on the Vape Team Media review channel on Through the Clouds in your segment.
Yeah, I think it's coming together. Dana's put together some interesting pieces, and Stephanie has got some really good stuff out there, and of course you're doing pretty well with Smoke-Free Radio. I wasn't able to catch this week's episode yet. I'm going to have to catch it on replay, but.
And I'm doing absolutely nothing.
That's good. You need to take a little break, JB. You got a lot of stuff going on. Before we get started, Jamie, we do have a feature here on YouTube called the Q&A. Can you tell people how to utilize that? And by the way, you can tweet us questions at Vape Team on Twitter or hashtag Vape Team Media. I'm monitoring the Twitter account, so if you have any questions that you want to tweet to us, we'll be more than happy to answer during the show. Jamie?
It's actually just at Vape Team, but yeah, just use the hashtag Vape Team. But if you look at the YouTube feed, there is a little part that says, if you're looking at it, just click Be Part of the Conversation, click to join the Q&A on Google Plus Hangouts. If you're logged into Google, it will jump you right in. You'll be able to ask questions, and we will see them right here on our little computer monitors.
Yes, so we have a little box that all the questions will pop out, and we'll be happy to relay. First of all, I am really interested to see if anything has changed in our vaping. So, James, what are you vaping on tonight?
I'm vaping on the GI2 with the Tobe atomizer.
So does that have hot sync functionality? Is that like a PDA? You know, can you organize your vaping life on that?
I haven't figured out how to tweet from this, but then again, I didn't even really remember what my Twitter handle was until a few minutes ago, so I guess you could say I'm technically challenged.
You can burn your finger with that device. I just want to put that out there, okay?
And I have done it, too.
That's what I'm saying. Be careful. Stephanie, what are you vaping
on? Right now I'm using my VTR with a Pro Tank 2, I think, in it.
What kind of e-liquid?
Cinnamon candy from Midas.
You and that cinnamon. By the way, the Pro Tank, the Aero Tank Mega and Mini, the new ones that are out there, fantastic tanks. I'm advising everybody to try them out.
Are those single or dual coil?
They're dual coil, but they're enclosed coils, kind of like the Aspire, and the adjustable airflow on them works fantastic. It is probably one of the best bottom-fed clearomizer that I have used to date. It's just something for the new people out there. If you like clearomizers, give it a shot. The older style Kanger heads, the dual coil heads, work in them. So if you have like a bunch of heads around, you just want to get a new tank, you can interchange, which is great. All right, Jamie, what are you vaping?
I'm vaping very simply. I've got an MVP with some kind of Vision dual coil clearer that I picked up a long time ago, and Solaris from Good Life Vapor. I really have my stuff distributed between home and the shop, and now when I need something, it's like, oh crap, what do I have? So my vaping life has gotten very simple since I opened the store, because I just don't have time to do anything other than work and work some more.
You don't know what I go through on a daily basis and how many hours I sleep. Dane, what are you vaping on?
I have a Nautilus tank on a Provari with Water Dragon by Valor Vapor in it.
That's the one that you did that 60-second review on there.
Yeah, I've become hooked on this. Really good.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. We're going to talk about that video you did with the e-liquid. I am vaping. I'm kind of embarrassed to hold this. By the way, there is an aura around me that's something from Google, and I don't know how to take it off. Maybe it's just a sign from God. I don't know. I am actually embarrassed to show this. This is like a really blinged out version of the Hydra, 24 karat gold.
That's what it's called.
And I have the Aviva tank, which is a K-Fun style atomizer from Greece. Made by Advocacy, and it's working fantastic. Is it a K-Fun killer? Don't ask me yet. Don't ask me. I just got it a couple days ago. So first thing, as soon as I post the picture, is it a K-Fun killer? I got to use it. I'm really satisfied with the way that it's working. It uses a ceramic cup inside, but you don't have to use non-resistance wire, which is great because I hate non-resistance wire. So, and I'm vaping a Rainbow Sherbet that the guys at MOV are doing a beta testing on, and of course I added like 10 drops of menthol because everything tastes better with menthol, so it's tasting really good. And of course I have my K-Fun filled in with my mentholated green peach tea. All right, before we get started with some current events and of course everything that's happened in the past couple of weeks, including the Senate hearing today, let's talk a little bit about Vape Team Media. Now, I've been doing this for a long time before me and Jamie started, but of course you guys have been on for quite a long time. And what I noticed is that when we transitioned to the new format, we just got a tremendous spike in subscriptions. I think we picked up like a couple of thousand subscriptions over the past couple of months. A lot of the comments that I've gotten, very positive of the new format, content going up every 2 or 3 days. You know, people don't have to sit through a 2-hour show to get to the stuff that they want. What are your experiences been, James?
Well, my experiences have been similar. Of course, you know, you're always going to have people who were happier with the way things were. But so far it's been pretty positive. And one of the things that this is going to allow us to do, of course, and it has allowed us to do, is kind of diversify in the information that we're putting out there. Now, I've got a couple interesting things coming up here. I went to a local vape shop and I picked this up, which this is the eFest Luck charger. I'm sure a lot of people already have been using these, the Luck V4s, but I was previously an IntelliCharger guy. And now after using this, I'm not going to go back. But another thing, too, is I've been doing a lot of research into some of the upcoming battery chemistries and just battery safety in general, and I've got some video prepared that I'm going to have to edit into a piece here. But basically, it's going to talk about battery safety. It's going to actually show what happens when a battery goes thermal. Nice. And it will also go through the steps that you can take to make sure that you're just following proper protocol when it comes to lithium-ion batteries, because, of course, that is an important subject to cover.
I think it is. And by doing that format, we have that option of breaking down the videos individually, a good production value, and make sure we get the valid information out there. And to me, that has been the most valuable part of doing the Vape Team Media. Of course, we are going to be doing events. We're all going to be, all of us except Jamie, I think. He's still working on it. We're going to be down in Miami, Steph. Are you excited?
I am very excited. I don't go to Miami very often, so I'm looking forward to not only being down there, but I think this event's going to be really big.
World Vapor Expo, it is turning out to be huge. I know a lot of people that are flying in for it. I know a lot of the vendors that have set up. I heard from a very good source, that's the organizer, so that's a very good source, that they're giving away one mod every 15 minutes.
Wow.
So that is pretty impressive.
Wow.
So one mod every 15 minutes. Miami, June the 6th and 7th, I think, are the correct dates. But anyway, we'll be there. WorldVaporExpert.com if you want to get more information. Dane, you did a little piece this past week for Vape Team Media where you talked about the quantity of e-liquid in bottles, and we've got some mixed reactions on it. So let's just go ahead and dissect a little bit that video. People are asking you, why aren't you naming the vendors? Why are you not naming the vendors?
What I decided to do was, it was just juice that I had bought on a regular basis, so I decided to buy some more. It had continuously come up short, at least to me. It seems like I wasn't getting full tankfuls. I was short dripping and things like that, so just kind of on a whim, I decided to measure. So I started measuring all the bottles right after I bought them when they were new, and sure enough, they were short, and some of them were markedly short. Now, I didn't want to name vendors because there was too much margin for error, at least in my mind. It could have been me, it could have been them, it could have been a myriad of different factors here, so I didn't do that, but I kept doing it, and it kept getting consistently short. So, but it was something in my mind with all of the FDA deeming regulations and all of the ammunition that ants have now. I did not want to add any more to that at this point. Really, it was informational in the sense that I wanted individual vapors to kind of just keep an eye out. Maybe you're not getting what you think you might be getting, and it's something to keep an eye on and check.
I think that was a great approach to it, because this is not a scientific test. You know, you didn't go into a laboratory and pull all the liquid out, as, you know, it would have been under a scientific setting. But it's just basically a video saying, hey guys, this is what my experience has been with these bottles. Check your bottles, check it out and see what the vendors are doing, and then put some pressure on them. I can't see, especially some of these vendors that are charging $22 for a 30 mil. Why would you short? I mean, you put a couple of mils extra inside there. If that's what I would do, if I was charging $22 for a 30 mil bottle. But to be short 3 and 4 meals, that is totally unacceptable in my opinion. And people should be more aware and pressure their vendors to make sure that what they're paying for, I mean, it's your money, gets out there, right? Stephanie, some of the interaction with some of the videos that you've done, mostly some of the juice stuff. I know a lot of people have sent requests for juice reviews, and I kind of distribute them between the team. But I try to gear you more towards, I think, you know, your descriptions. What has your experience been with the Vape Team Media format?
Well, I like the format a lot. I've had a hard time trying to figure out sort of my place in that, as far as I know that I'm wanting to toward the beginner vapor, but I don't think those will be interesting to a lot of the subscribers. So I'm really glad that we have that all separated out, where people that are new can go to one spot and then, you know, pick and choose the things that you're interested in.
And also,
I like the format a lot.
I want to see some more stuff from you, going out to stores, doing some interviews, talking to some people. I did a video here with Miss Jeannie Cox, which I thought was really important to get out there. I mean, a 73-year-old woman that smoked for 55 years, transitioning to vaping. What better story can you get? And it's a short 10-minute video. Get it out there, make it viral, let people see it, especially after the Senate hearing today, when the constant talk was that flavors are for kids. And here you have a woman, 73-year-olds, that's just saying she absolutely loves the flavors in vaping. And to me, that's the beauty of Vape Team Media. We can do a 10-minute video. We can put it out there and try to share it. Of course, I'm geared more towards the political side and the advocacy side, and I enjoy doing that. I really enjoy talking. Like Gilbert Ross was a great interview. In 20 minutes, in my opinion, Dr. Gilbert Ross told us exactly what the FDA's regulations are going to do. Boom. Just in 20 minutes, he laid it out there. He's a brilliant man. Let me pick up a question here from the Q&A. I live in Illinois. This is from Sachi. I live in Illinois, and when I personally email my representatives here, I either get a canned response or nothing back. Should I just start going to their actual offices to give them the facts about vaping? I suggest that the problem, Sachi, that we have, and I think everybody here on the team will agree with me, is when you go to a politician and you start talking about your personal story and how vaping saved your life, they don't listen. They don't care. I know that sounds grim and it sounds bad, but that is the truth. The politician wants to hear one thing and one thing only. Well, two things: money and votes. If those two things are affected,
here's what he wants to do. He should be going to his local vape store owner, either one or multiple, and getting the owner of the store on board with him, and then they should be making appointments to go to the constituents. appointments to go see the senator and discuss not only how these have improved their lives, what the vendor sees every day, and how much money will be taken out and jobs will be taken out of the local economy by strictly regulating this product. And how many of his customers will not be voting for that senator if this changes, because he's going to let them know that this senator voted against vaping. That is what you need to do. You need to, of course, do it all very civilly, very professional. Everyone should come in a suit. Everyone should be very nice. But basically, you need to show them what's going to happen to the economy in the local area. You know, Dimitri, you in Mountain Oak Vapers is a prime example. If you went to your representative in Chattanooga,
Sure.
You said, we've got how many stores? How many stores do you have in the local area?
Three stores and 30 employees.
3 stores, 30 employees. If these regulations go in the way they are, these people will be out of a job. These stores will shut down.
Certainly.
More empty space in strip malls and more lower tax base. I mean, you guys must be paying a ton in sales tax every month.
Sure, especially in Tennessee because it's 9.25. I'm going to give you a perfect example. By the way, that was Brooklyn. I'm not quite sure who asked that question, but whoever, because that form over there is a little bit confusing to me. But let me give you a perfect example. I got wind of this Senate hearing 3 days ago, the one that happened today. And as soon as I found out that Senator Alexander, he is one of the chairs on this help committee, he's from Tennessee, and I heard that he's pro-e-cig. And from what his questions today, I kind of figured that he's more for us than he is against us. The first thing that I did is I went into all my Tennessee Facebook groups and I said, if you are a vendor in the state of Tennessee, call Senator Alexander's office right now and tell him you own a shop. This is how much money you're paying in taxes. This is how much people you employ. I didn't concentrate my efforts to everybody that was on the committee. I took it just for my state. And I wanted the Vapers here to contact them, and I wanted the vendors here to contact them to let them know what the economic impact is going to be, and, of course, the voting impact. Because, let's face it, us, the Vapers, have an immediate family circle, and to them they see it as votes that could possibly come in the future. But, you know, the fact remains that this is a battle that's going to be won with money. So unless we can convince him and let him know how many stores, Cynthia Cabrera from SFATA contacted me immediately when this thing happened, and she told me, I need a list of all the stores in Tennessee. And when I told her there was 130 stores and growing, I mean, that's probably an outdated number, she was surprised. She had no idea that there's so many stores in Tennessee. If she doesn't know, imagine our politicians. They have no idea. They think e-cigs, all they think about is a stick battery. They don't know all this stuff that we're using. They don't know we exist, and that is a fact. Unless we're able to change that, it's never going to get any better for us. Dane, any comments?
I agree. It you know, watching those hearings today, it really reinforces the fact of how ignorant legislators are to the wider areas of vaping that they've never had exposure to. And it's easy to sit and say, well, you know, they're ignorant, they just don't know, but it's up to us to educate them as well. And the more that we can do it, the better off we'll all be.
I mean, I had a busy day. I didn't have time to watch them. Can someone give me a 60-second roundup?
Yeah, basically today was a hearing of the Help Committee, which is a committee on the Senate that wanted to find out about the regulations on tobacco products and the FDA proposed regulations. There were 2 witnesses. McAfee from CDC and Mitch Zeller from the FDA. That's the only 2 people that spoke, which was unfortunate. But I understand what the purpose of the hearing was. The purpose of the hearing was based on what is going on right now with these products. What do you propose to do with these regulations, and how are they going to affect, you know, the flavors and the impact and health? And overall, you know, the senator from North Carolina made a lot of sense. He talked about the innovation and technology, and that this product could overtake tobacco. The answers from Mitch Zeller to me were the most disappointing. Not the fact that the other Senator Harkin from Utah kept talking about that. I mean, he's stuck with children and flavors. The guy lives in Utah. He's probably out of reality. He doesn't know how the real world works. The only thing he kept saying about is children, and these are targeted to children and marketing to kids. But the answers that Mitch Zeller gave to me were the most disappointing. I mean, when he was asked if this product enforces tobacco harm reduction, wouldn't it be better for people to be using an electronic cigarette? He completely dodged that question by saying that, well, the FDA has to take in consideration the population effect, and we have to do studies, but in order to get there, we have to regulate it. So they want to take control of the product and then give us an answer if it's less harmful or if it's not. Well, if they take control of this product, we're not going to get a chance to see it because the industry is going to be squashed. So a little bit disappointing, a little bit positive from some of the reactions that we had from the senators there. I got a question from Twitter about that today. Do you think that the senators not present today will make any statements in response to their hearing and what was said by the CDC? I don't think so. I was surprised to see some of the senators that are sitting on this committee not be there. I mean, this is a really important topic. James, did you watch that at all?
You know what? I listened to part of it. Kevin was doing a live stream of the session there, and yeah, I don't remember the guy's name. I wish somebody had his name here.
Harkin?
Yeah, I believe it was
from
Harkin.
Utah. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, for one thing, I've got nieces and nephews, and we watch this kid show on Nickelodeon called The Mighty Bee, and Harkin sounds just like the lead character from The Mighty Bee, which just cracks me up. But aside from that, he just asked the same question over and over. It's like he could not grasp the concept of what was being explained to him.
Sure.
And all it made me think about is the fact that these are career politicians who basically just rest on their laurels. That's all they do. So that is our representation, and it's kind of scary when you think about it.
Well, it is very scary, but it kind of shows us how the system works, okay?
Yeah.
The meeting was 20 minutes, or not 20 minutes, excuse me, 45 minutes late. I'm sure those 45 minutes was spent back quarters getting telephone calls from lobbyists, big pharmaceutical companies. Folks, that's the real world. That's how things get done. Yeah. We need to have our voice. We need to have our lobbyists call them up as well.
Well,
and go ahead.
Even just watching Twitter today, I mean, Greg Conley put out a tweet here earlier. He got a phone call from Daenerys at PR Web. She confirms that they will not publish any positive press releases about e-cigs. For those of you who don't know who PR Web is, they have press releases from not-for-profit organizations. They have press releases from everybody. That is basically what they're in business for. If you have something that you wish to promote or get out there, you can contact them and they will issue a press release for it. That's shocking to me. The American Heart Association had a tweet today. Study, e-cigs may not help you kick the habit after all. Stop smoking, and e-cigs.
They had PR Webs have released press releases from stick battery companies saying that they support the FDA regulations. that's how bad PR Web is, right?
Of course they do.
But of course, when we get something positive up there, here's another question. Why aren't members of CASA and SFATA invited or included in these hearings? All testimony on e-cigarettes to government bodies, local, federal, seem one-sided. Well, this particular hearing was not an open hearing, okay? This was specifically called for by the Help Committee to address the issues with the proposed regulations. That's basically what it was, okay? And who are the two people that are behind this? Of course, Ms. Zeller and McAfee. This is not an open hearing where we're going to have... There will be chances in the future, trust me, that there will be representatives from CASA and SFATA and AIMSA, and most of that happens behind closed doors. It's not, you're not going to see it open like that. There's going to be a few of them in the future, I'm sure, where we're going to have to go testify. But most of those hearings take place in closed doors. I've sat in one, so I know how the system works. But today was really important just to kind of see the senators, how they're going, this committee, who's for us and who's against us. Now we know. Now we can tweet Russ, the senator from, I think his name is not Russ, Russ is probably saying something about him. The senator from North Carolina. We can tweet him. We can send him emails. Thank you for the support. This is how. Now we know he's with us. Okay, so let's feed him all the positive information. The guy that's against us, Harkin. Now we can give him all this information. Hey, I'm 42 years old, and I use flavors. It's not just kids. By the way, did you see Pink Spot? Boom, straight on that table. Because Jamie, the Senator Harkin, he pulled out some bottles that were cherry, and he's saying it's targeted to kids. And Pink Spot was one of the bottles that was up there. That's prime placement on C-SPAN.
Let me yeah, no, that's great. They've got billboards on the I-15 in Vegas too. But the thing is, I did my small part. There was a public hearing done by a state rep in Duxbury, Massachusetts, which is a small town down on the Cape, and they currently don't have any e-cig regulations at all. The city where my store is has e-cig regulations saying, no sale to minors, no free samples, and a whole bevy of things. And these regulations are being pushed by an organization in Massachusetts called the Mass Municipal Association. And one of the leaders of that organization, DJ Wilson, you know who you are, is very anti-e-cig. So it was a public meeting with literally DJ Wilson from the MMA and the director of the Massachusetts Department of Public Health in Boston sitting at a table talking to us about e-cigs. And me and Jen went. And let's just say that we brought some opposing opinion to the meeting. And this man does not like me and Jen at all because we follow him around like cockroaches and go to all the meetings. And he literally shushed us at one point for providing the truth. Yeah. I think one of the thing is they were talking about flavors and how they're attracting children. Of course they are. He pulls out Mount Baker vapor bottles and says, these are gummy bear and cotton candy and bubble gum. How are adults are using these? And I said, 80% of the juice sales at my store are flavored. If you took away flavors from me, we'd be out of business.
Yeah.
And I said, you should have provisions for tasting in stores. And he says, if anyone wants to try these products, they can step outside.
Yeah.
And at one point in the meeting, it was just, it just blew my mind. And they know that they're on sketchy legal ground. It looks like their current attempt is to prevent the sale of flavored electronic cigarettes at places that aren't specialty retailers where, like at my store I'd be able to sell flavors, but at a BP or a 7-Eleven you wouldn't be able to sell anything but tobacco and menthol.
Like that makes any sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all. I'm okay with it. I don't like it. I don't like giving them their inch because then they'll take a mile in the future.
Right, sure.
But the thing is that I, of course, pulled out my slide deck that me and Jen have a presentation that we can give at a moment's notice that talks about all of these anti-THR lies, like the fear against nicotine. Nicotine is nothing to be feared. And I had one slide that showed if you're so worried about flavors, why is Nicorette and Commit sold in these flavors? And I show like the tropical frost and cherry and strawberry. And then I flipped to another picture that I actually took at my local CVS. And why are they available in a self-service kiosk where the cherry flavor's at kid height?
What did he say?
He says, well, those are nicotine delivery products, and we don't see those being used in schools.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
that's because they suck. That's right.
Dude, I mean, there's no talking to these people. They're clearly being influenced by money.
Sure.
And
just a minute, put a correction. It was Senator Burr. I said Russ, but it's Burr. And it's been a long couple of days for me. I haven't had much sleep. And also, the Senator Harker is from Iowa, not Utah. Just a couple corrections. I'm sorry. But it has been a rough couple of days for me. I have not had much sleep and a lot of things going on. Moving along from the Senate committee, and we're going to see a lot of that coming here in the next couple of years as these regulations are being proposed. One of the things that was really interesting was the fact that Senator Harkin was opposing to extend the comment period. Everybody else was for it. You're talking about regulations that took 4 years to draft. They were released prematurely. We know this by now, okay, because they got pressure from the senators to release them. You can tell that they're premature because they don't know what to do. They're kind of putting them out there and like, oh, we're not quite sure. They had zero nicotine e-liquid labeled as tobacco in the regulation, so they were rushed. And it still took them 4 years. 75 days are not enough.
It took them 4 years to produce that pile of bullplop. You know, and we think that these regulations will happen anytime before 2018.
I seriously doubt it.
The thing that worries me right now is all of these. I really want to release a juice at my store, and I want to call it Blumenthal. I think I need a blue raspberry menthol called Blumenthal.
That's gonna be a problem, I'll tell you that. But you can play around with it a little bit and say,
hey, I'm not attracting children.
Blue and menthol.
Know who you are?
Just don't blue menthol. Just do blue and menthol like that. I don't know. Anyway. But it's really interesting to see how it's gonna develop. What I'm really afraid of is if this Senate committee, which is opposing e-cigs right now, pressures the FDA to take steps that are not proper in order to come out with these regulations. That's my only concern. If the only fear that I have right now, because I know that if we able to persevere for 2 or 3 years, to be able to get more people to vape and create a little bit more self-industry standards. I'm going to tell you one thing, and I'm going to go on the record, and I'm going to say it. The industry is not doing itself any good by releasing a cotton candy flavor. Excuse me. You can release a cotton candy flavor, but don't put an animation cartoon character on it. Come on. I mean, that is not hurting our cause. And I agree that flavors work for adults, right? We all love them. However, you have to keep your marketing within that adult range as well, too. Stephanie, do you agree? I mean, having that bottle that he showed today, it had that rocket ice cream that we loved as kids, you know, with the red, white, and blue. Okay, that kind of relates to kids. I understand it. Do adults enjoy those? Yes, they do. But as an industry as well, the marketing of your product should have a little bit more of an adult responsibility. Steph?
Absolutely. Yeah, if you're putting Hello Kitty on a bottle, it's going to be, they're going to jump on that. That's ridiculous to put, you know, the unicorns and the My Little Ponies and things like that. That would be silly.
I mean, Fusion Vapor sells unicorn blood, and it's got a unicorn on it, and the description talks about how that just blows my mind. And that's one thing I look at when I evaluate juice vendors for that I'm selling at my store. I mean, if they have a picture of, if it's orange cream and they have a picture of an orange cream skull on it, okay, whatever. But don't put a picture of, you know, a kid, you know, an animated figure holding a orange cream skull. And don't use any of that in your branding.
Right.
I mean, I wish I had it. I might go grab it, actually. You guys talk. I'm going to go grab something.
Right. And I want to say, let me pick up a question from over here, James. John Miller, I think, no, that's John Chalice says, I think we should just add vodka to the end of all the kid flavor names. Cotton candy vodka is fine. I understand, and you're totally right, but we're talking about there's no common sense here. You're talking about industry that's regulated, all right? So that industry, that alcohol industry is regulated. We're not. So what we have to do is we have to position this industry in order to be accepted and sustained and be able to pass through these regulations. Let's not do ourselves more harm. James?
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, the other thing, too, despite the trend of using these animated characters to advertise your juice, there's also juice companies out there that are coming out with juices that are named things like Poison and Demons and stuff like that. It's like, why would I want to vape Poison? You know, you already have this issue with the CDC, and then you're going to put out an e-liquid that says poison on it. I mean, yes, it's all marketing, but that's the kind of stuff that you need to stay away from as an e-liquid manufacturer if you want any type of legitimacy across the board, I would think.
You said it right. Right now, up to now, the market has been unregulated. So you can use that example and say, hey, we've been unregulated now. We can do that. Okay, but now you're seeing the attack come. Now we have to do something to say that, hey, listen, as an industry, we're taking the proper steps to make sure that we're marketing this product to adult smokers that have attempted various ways of quitting smoking and they have been unsuccessful. Jamie?
So this is a piece that was handed out at that town meeting that I talked about earlier, and it says find the tobacco products on it. It's got all these colorful things on it, and there's a package of blunt wraps, a couple of blunts, a couple of, I think there might even be a hookah pen on here. Yeah, there is. And flavored cigars and all of these things. And on the back it says, the tobacco industry targets young people in Massachusetts. The tobacco industry uses 3 main tactics in its efforts to hook kids on tobacco products. Packaging. The tobacco industry sells products in colorful and fun packaging that attracts young people. Price. They want to encourage impulse buys. And availability, since they're available at pharmacies, corner stores, grocery stores, blah, blah, blah. And then, so this is the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. And, I mean, the biggest thing that I see as a problem in our industry is not the vapor stores who are properly IDing, selling flavored e-liquid, not the convenience stores that are properly IDing and selling cigarettes and disposables. The problem I see is irresponsible retailers selling things like those hookah pens. The ones that are colorful, they're a disposable stick that are colorful and have all these designs on them, and a lot of them come from one major hookah manufacturer that has sued this industry before, so I'm not going to mention their name, but if you know who I'm talking about. And I think those are possibly the most detrimental thing in our industry right now.
I totally agree, and I think it has to come within the industry. There's another comment I saw in New Juice the other day called Captain's Crunchy Peanut Butter, and I did see it too. It looked just like the cereal box. It really did, with the cartoon characters on and all that. That's totally uncalled for, in my opinion, if we want to move forward, okay? I'm not telling anybody not to buy it. I'm not telling anybody not to make it. If you want to be legitimate, though, and if you want to sustain in this industry, look, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, when these regulations take into place, you're probably not going to be able to make e-liquid if we keep going that way. You're going to go out of business. So take some changes. Dane, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree, and I really want to echo what James was saying as well, that some of the names of these juices and even the manufacturers, like Uncle Junks, come on. We're going to go up in front of a legislative body with Uncle Junks, and they're going to say, is that the best you got, young man?
Can you imagine trying to pass through FDA regulation through that? I mean, if you have to apply for your product, and somebody's going to sit there at the FDA and is going to read this application, it's going to, okay, today we're going to be taking a look at Uncle's Junks.
I think I had a juice vendor contact me who sells the Chernobyl effect.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. I'm like, oh yes, all of your juice flavors are based on nuclear fusion.
Yeah.
I mean, you're selling e-liquid. You're not selling energy drinks. Please.
There's a good comment by Stefan about this. I saw that too, Stefan, today. He was showing a Facebook game. It's a game that you play on Facebook to get coupons for e-cigs. I've never seen it before. It might be out there. I'm not saying that it's not out there.
I haven't seen it.
It could be some kind of a marketing scheme. I've seen other games where you play and try to get a coupon and you scratch it off or whatever and get a discount. Was it made up by the CDC? It could have been. I don't know. I mean, the possibility is that they made it up, or it might have been something else. And the guy had no idea what he was reading. He had these bottles in front of him and these e-cigs. He had no idea. At one point, Senator Harkin picks up a USB and he's like, "Look at these things. They come with a USB, and what the hell? Are we gonna ban USBs now too?"
Yes, please do that. We'll get the net neutrality folks on our side.
If they should ban anything about USB, it's just letting us know which way to put the damn thing in, because I always get it upside down every time I try to do it.
I agree. I do too.
But, I mean, that's the common sense that these politicians, they're not in touch with the world. Now, let me bring it to you here local. Here in Eastridge, where the restaurant is located in Chattanooga, Tennessee, one of the councilmen saw a guy vaping in City Hall. Now, that guy was a douchebag. First of all, because I mean, there's no reason for you to sit in City Hall and vape. All right, I mean, you gotta have to have some etiquette, or at least stealth vape it. So he took it upon on a personal agenda to put e-cigs in the tobacco category and ban him on all city property. I raised stink about it. I went on the radio. I went on the newspaper. I bashed him. He's gotten a lot of backlash from it. I called him up personally and I said, "Listen, you're trying to use a shotgun to take care of a problem that you could take care of with a BB gun. Why would you want to categorize them as tobacco? If you don't want people to use them in City Hall, put a sign up that says e-cig use is prohibited." Oh, he says, but there's a couple guys in the fire department, which I helped, by the way, get them off. These firefighters, I'm the one that helped them get them off cigs. And he says, well, there's a couple guys using them at the fire hall. And I'm like, if there are employees of the city of Eastridge using e-cigs, you should commend them. You should award them. You should thank them for transitioning to this product, because they're going to cost the city less money in the long run from insurance claims. So it can happen at any town, guys. All you have to do is you go after them, educate them. If this thing is going to go to the City Hall Thursday, I'm cutting my flight short from Virginia to attend the City Hall, and I'm going to blast them. I'm going to have 100 people there, and we're going to try to fight this now before it gets out of hand, because this is what happens. If this passes a tobacco product in the city of Eastridge, what stops them 6 months from now saying, well, this is a tobacco product, we're going to ban it in restaurants. We're going to ban it in public parks. If you open up that door and give them that chance,
give them an inch, give them a mile.
We're screwed.
Take a mile.
They can easily regulate this by putting signs up in the buildings that they don't want this to be used. E-cig usage is prohibited. And I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve. Let me tell you the biggest trick that you can use when you go into a city hall. And I don't want to take up all the time, but this is a very, very important trick that people can use in their city council meetings. If you go up and you say, this is not a tobacco product, the first thing a councilman will tell you is, but it contains nicotine. So you're going to say, correct, it contains nicotine, but it does not contain any tobacco. How are you going to regulate this, Mr. City Councilman? Because, and then what I do is, I pull out a stick battery that has 0 nicotine labeled on the package. So I pull out the e-cig that has 0 nicotine, I take it out of the package, and I start vaping, and I said, this e-cigarette contains no nicotine. So how are you going to be able to distinguish, how are you going to enforce the rule that you want to enforce when we have 2 types of products? This contains nicotine, and this doesn't. They have no answer for it. All they have,
the FDA.
You're going to ban a product that you put in your mouth? It has no nicotine. You can't classify it. I mean, it's just a silly, silly rule. You have to fight and try to win these things. It could happen in your town. James, there's a question about batteries that I want you to handle, so we can get some of these questions out of this board here.
Before we even do that, though, I did want to mention that they had that New York Senate Health Committee meeting today, and one of the most outrageous statements I heard out of that meeting is as follows. Federal law recognizes that the purpose of these flavorings is to addict children to nicotine and create a new generation of tobacco users, said Dr. Harlan Juster, director of the Health Department's Bureau of Tobacco Control. You want to talk about a statement that is just blanketed and misinformed, and it's so infuriating, Dimitri. I mean,
the guy said today he showed a 5-pack of blue cartridges.
Yeah.
Refillable, and he says those are refillable. I'm like, no, they're not refillable. You don't refill these cartridges. Why would you even say that? You have absolutely no clue what the product is.
Oh man,
I mean, Dimitri, if only there were 1,000 of you out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I do my best, but I'm not as well connected to my community as you are. I mean, I go to these meetings and I give people hell. And if everyone watching this, if all of the 81 viewers watching this feed right now went out and gave their local politicians hell, it would make a big difference. You need to be active in this. We are no longer fat and happy. The sky is the sky isn't falling yet, but it's cracking really fast. And
it's going to take some grassroots movements. I'm launching the Tennessee Smoke-Free Association, a 501(c) down here in Tennessee. I mean, I've already got the paperwork back, and we're going around the vendors and we're asking for financial support to be able to fund what I plan on doing. Since we're a 501(c), we can't hire a lobbyist directly from a 501(c). What I'm going to do is I'm going to join SFATA. So Tennessee Smoke-Free Association is going to pay dues to SFATA to join, which is $3,500 a year. And I'm also going to join VISTA. VISTA is a lobbying group out of Florida. So through the TSFA, I'm going to raise the funds from the vendors, and then I'm going to distribute it to these 2 organizations. VISTA is going to hire us a lobbyist. SFATA is going to represent us as a trade association, all through one group. Now, that's a lot of work, and it's kind of hard getting all the vendors on board because you have vendors out there that are saying, well, we give a couple $100 to CASA. We give a couple $100 here. We give a couple $100. That's not the way it works, folks. You have to get a lobbyist in your state in order to be able to keep up with what's going on and be able to fight. So that's just something that I attempted down here. Anybody can do it at any state. I know Stefan is putting something on there in California. There's Oklahoma has Oval, which they've hired a lobbyist. Florida has a lobbyist that clipped a bill this past legislative session. We have to put some money in this in order to be able to persevere. Anyway, James, back to the battery.
Yeah, so the first question we had in here was Sachi, and he had a question about the eFest purple batteries. I heard eFest purple batteries actually suck, and there's the question just changed.
Goes up to the top.
Looking at it.
Goes up to the top.
Okay, I heard eFest purple batteries actually suck and can only put out that amperage for about 4 minutes. Well, Sachi, basically all of these battery companies, they bin batteries from just a handful of battery manufacturers, primarily Panasonic. And AW gets the best ones typically, and then they push the rest down the line to companies that make things like battery packs for laptops, etc. Now, eFest actually purchases these batteries that are, I'm not going to say discarded, but they don't have the same rating as the highest bin batteries. MNKE and AW are the ones that pick out the cream of the crop. Sony is an anomaly because they actually produce their own cells, so the Sony batteries are consistent quality. But I've heard the same thing about the eFest. That includes the new Purple Wrapper 35 amp batteries. The C rating is not consistent on those. So I would say if you wanted to get a good battery, stick with MNKE, AW, or Sony, the VTC5s. Now, go ahead.
What's the difference between the VTC5 and the VTC4, James?
It's basically capacity. I think the VTC4 has an edge as far as amperage rating, and the VTC5 has increased capacity.
So they're
with
both
a
good
minimal
batteries?
reduction. They're both good batteries, though. Yeah, they're solid batteries.
That's pretty much all I use with my mix now.
Okay.
The VCT4, the VCT5. I think they're a very good battery. They perform very well.
What
I've
about
been-
the electronics?
And the Electronic's a good battery. The 30 amp
Yeah.
batteries, I use them in mix as well too. The problem with it is that it's a tall battery. It's taller than the AWMR. And some of my mix, the switch doesn't go all the way, and it has that little gap. And I hate gaps. So that's why I don't use it. I don't use it a lot. Also, James, there's another question about the charger.
Yeah, and Silver Zero had a question. Are you testing the voltage on your batteries after using the Luck charger? My V2s used to overcharge my IMRs. Now, with the V2, that was a common issue. In fact, I saw somebody yesterday on Facebook, and I couldn't believe this, Silver. They were actually touting the fact that their V2 charges our lithium-ion 18650s to 4.4 volts, which means they're awesome for these sub-ohm builds. Your optimal charge level is 4.2
That's not how
volts.
it works.
Right. You're actually overcharging. You're using a battery out of spec, and it's not something that's recommended. Now, the Luck V4, I did actually meter one of these batteries. The Luck V4 read it as 4.2 volts. My meter read it at 4.16 volts. So I'm pretty happy with that, and I've seen the same type of results since I've been using the Luck.
Hey, James, do you have any kind of load testing? Do you do any load testing on these batteries other than your insane cloud coils? Do you have any load testing?
I have one of those tankometers that just is, it's basically a pass-through load test to show what the drop is like. That's the only thing I have. I don't have any of the fancy setups like Phil or Field Vapor have.
Well, batteries are becoming a very hot topic. I mean, I remember when the first reports of batteries exploding in an e-cig happened, and we learned that we were buying basically knockoffs of batteries that have been rewrapped. I mean,
Sure.
these Chinese companies you need to be very careful about where you buy your batteries from. These Chinese companies are basically taking those bottom bin cells, the ones that weren't even fit for laptop or drills or anything like that, and basically wrapping them with a fake AW sleeve and selling them very inexpensively.
Yeah, and that's actually what they found on Reddit as well. Some people were taking the eFest purple cells and splitting the wrapper and taking a look at what the cell actually had printed on the side. And there were some Sony cells, there were some Panasonic. It was basically different, factory second batteries that had been re-sleeved and sold. So you're not really buying quality or buying a consistent product when you're buying the eFest batteries. And I would go as far as to say if you're buying your batteries off Fast Tech, period, I would be very wary, or eBay for that matter, because most of the eBay batteries are also coming from Fast Tech.
Yeah.
So you do have to be careful of the source for these. Now, I did read something interesting today. There's a company called Power Japan, or Power Japan Plus, and they just went public, but they've been doing research for about 7 years into using carbon as the anode and the cathode for a new type of battery chemistry. And basically what that does is it removes some of that highly flammable lithium oxide from the cells, and they're going to be marketing this towards the car companies and towards medical supply companies because safety is a #1 concern for these companies. But Tesla and GM and Nissan, they all have these electric vehicles, and those use lithium-ion batteries. And there's been several cases of those batteries catching fire and them having catastrophic results from that thermal runaway. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this company. Right now, they're not talking about making any type of consumer product, but it is supposed to lower cost as well as be a quicker recharge due to the chemistry change.
Good information there. Question about TSFA. TNSmokeFree.org is the website. It is a work in progress. TNSmokeFree.org. Listen, it's not easy doing what I do, and I'm not trying to sound cocky or trying to get praise, but I funded the 501(c) out of my pocket to get it going because I knew it'd be difficult to go ask vendors to do this, okay? So what I did is I put money out of my own pocket to pay, LegalZoom to set up the 501(c), the 940, the 941 for the state to apply for a nonprofit status, and even the guy that's building the website, I haven't paid him yet. I'm waiting to collect money from from vendors for this. So it's not an easy task, okay? I'm not going to say it's easy. But basically, I asked Aaron Frazier from the Utah Vapers Association to borrow some of his text, some of his content to build the website, because Aaron's done a lot of research on this, and he's been extremely kind and helpful with me. And I've been very, very specific on what I want to do with a TSFA. And the goal of the TSFA is hire a lobbyist, number one. That's our number one priority. Have a lobbyist in the state on retainer to monitor the bills. Number two, I want to be able to educate the politicians in the state. So what I did is I assigned 2 representatives here in Chattanooga, one in Knoxville, one in Nashville, one in Memphis. So we have 5 people on the board. These are all volunteers that are going to go to their local shops to try to get the shops on board. And if we have a possibility that there's a hearing, my representative from Knoxville can go over there and speak on behalf of the TSFA. As a vendor, it is very important when somebody represents you to be part of an organization. That way, if we're representing you in media, we're going to go out there, we're not going to say we're representing this store, we're representing the Tennessee Smoke-Free Association, and we represent 100 stores in Tennessee. Now you have power, you have voice. Media will look to you for information. They called me immediately when this thing happened with Councilman Mark Gravitt here in East Ridge, and I gave my response as Tennessee Smoke-Free Association. I didn't give my response as a store, and that's crucial. Guys have to understand that's very crucial that we're representing a huge industry. And last but not least, we want to be able to give these stores stickers. We're part of an association. We want to give them pamphlets. We want to give them business cards. Pass them out to your vapors. Then go to the website. We're going to keep up with, the legislation that's going on. We're going to keep up with the FDA. Now we have a tool to use here on a state level. If I need help with the TSFA, I'm going to go to SFATA, or I'm going to go to VISTA, or I'm going to go to the other advocacy groups, the federal groups, and try to help me, and then through me, pass it down to my representatives, and the representatives will pass them out to their stores that they represent. So it's a nice little system of getting a state level to the federal level without confusion. It's a nice little channeling of information going down. So I hope that helps you, John, and I hope you do something in your state. I'd be more than happy to help anybody out there attempting to do something like that. All right, let me bring this up, and we're going to get back to some of these questions over here. A couple weeks ago on Smoke Free Radio, we announced the results of the Dr. Frasalino study. James was on me on that episode. We got a lot of good information in. Let me just go down the board. Dane, were you surprised or were you not surprised? 69% of the e-liquids out of 159 tested positive for diacetyl or acetylpropylene, which is another flavor that mimics diacetyl but is just as harmful.
I wasn't surprised that there was actually diacetyl in these subjects. I was surprised by the number of subjects that tested positive. I thought by now, knowing that diacetyl is a harmful substance, at least from what we know about it, that it would be cut down at least considerably in the amount of e-liquids that are out there, but apparently that's just not the case.
I think there was a big misconception in 2010 when this thread started by flavoring companies. And that's one of the big reasons why Dr. Fasalinos is not naming the companies, because if a flavoring company, now, does that take away the responsibility from the vendor? No. But if these flavoring companies were telling the vendors, Stephanie, you're a fairly new vapor, but you've kind of followed this thing with diacetyl. If you were mixing e-liquid and your flavoring company said, oh, this is a diacetyl-free flavoring, chances are, especially if you're a small moms and pops operation, you're not going to test it yourself, right?
No, I would have no way to do that, right?
I mean, you'd have to outsource it out and have it tested, and some of these smaller companies can't afford it. Does that take away the blame? No, but there we go. Now we have the study. We know that it exists. Now, though, you have no excuse. James, your thoughts? You're muted.
I was trying to find my button here. I've got another tab open. I think people are still really surprised by the results of the study. But, yeah, I mean, vendors are going to have the flavors tested or have their end result tested because, again, these flavors are marketed for consumption, not for inhalation. And I know one of my friends posted a list of TFA, TPA flavors previously regarded as safe that have been found to contain acetone and
I saw that list.
And yeah,
it was huge.
Propanol, yeah, there's quite a few there. And there were quite a few DIYers who were using these and were previously, it appears from the comments, unaware of the fact that these use the alternative product. So this is definitely going to generate a lot of discussion, but I'm not sure what direction the community is going to take at this point.
I have an opinion on this. My opinion is that yes, making juice is easy. Making good juice is actually pretty easy. Yes, it takes a lot of work to get your flavors right, but it's pretty easy, and that means that there's a very low barrier to entry right now for someone to come in and make juice. My opinion, my personal opinion, is that if you do not have the resources to test your products, test your flavorings, not trust your suppliers. That's the first thing I say to any juice vendor I meet. Don't trust your suppliers. These flavorings are generally regarded as safe for consumption, not inhalation. If you do not have the resources to do that, if you do not have the resources to get that funding to bootstrap yourself and build a proper operation, unless you're just doing it for yourself, I don't think you should be selling juice. And I know that may hurt a lot of people out there that are small juice operations that don't think they have the resources. But if you do not have the resources to make sure that your stuff is safe, that you're properly insured, that you have a good, clean workspace to make your product in, you shouldn't be doing this.
Or put a disclaimer on your website. That way the people that are buying it are aware of it. And what we did is we went back and we checked all these e-liquids and we marked which ones had a warning on them or not. And you'd be surprised at the findings. Pull up that question from Sachi there, Jamie, that talking about the study. Put it to the top so I'll be able to read it. Some of my comments on your juice video are things. By the way, it wasn't a video. It was an audio podcast. Some of my comments on your juice video are things I'm hearing from people across other networks, and they are concerned with not giving out all the studies' finding. Will all the findings come out of every consumer? If you listened, obviously you didn't listen to it because it was an audio podcast. It wasn't a video. But if you did listen to what Dr. F said and what I said, is that a study, to get the details of the study, is going to have to be published in a medical journal. It's nothing that I can just hand you over, right? I mean, he has to actually write a report on this. It has to be peer-reviewed and then published in a journal. So, yes, they will be available at some point, but that takes some time, and we said 4 to 6 weeks to get the details of the study. And again, the study is not going to be naming vendors. It's only 159 e-liquids. There's thousands of e-liquids outside there. Why should we publicize and give credit to somebody or discredit somebody out there, especially a vendor that might have not known of these ingredients that the flavoring company was selling them? So it's out there for information purposes only. Now it's out there. We know it. What are you, the Vaper, going to do? Should you pressure your vendor? Should you ask them for a study on the e-liquid if you're concerned about it? Absolutely. It's your money. And you certainly can request that. Dane, your thoughts on this?
I agree 100%. I had said in one of my videos, a matter of fact, it was the last review video, that it was refreshing for me to see a vendor who cared more about what went in the bottle as opposed to the bottle. And I think that works also with flavorings as well. If I were an enterprising person in this day in technology, and I guess I'm surprised that we don't have it yet, is somebody who isn't looking into formulating flavors for inhalation versus just consumption. Surely there must be a company out there somewhere or somebody who's thinking about doing it, and I would certainly recommend it. And to the vapors out there who are using these products and you're unsure about what's in your liquid, talk to your vendors.
Sure.
Talk to the juice makers. Talk to everybody you possibly can to find out what's in that e-liquid. You don't have to get recipes. And juice makers, we need to stop with well, I'm not giving out my recipes to anyone. We don't want to make your crunkberry crunch. That's not what we want. We want to know what's in it, and if it's responsibly and properly made. And that's the most important bottom line of all.
Very well said. And a lot of vendors, 1 second, Jamie, let me just finish this
go ahead.
And I'll introduce our guest. One of the things that's very important in this community is that we go based on a lot of rumor mill. You have people that haven't actually listened to this podcast and making comments on it. That's the problem in this community. And then they take it outside and they start discussing it in forums. Listen to it. Listen what it says, and then make a responsible response. Don't spread rumors out there with stuff that does not exist, okay? It's very, very important that we stay focused on what is at hand here, and this is another attempt from the community to self-regulate, and I wish we did more of it. Look who we have here joining us on Vape Team Media Roundtable, the one and only fellow researcher from the Heartland Institute, Mr. Gregory Conley. How you doing, Greg?
You're also a researcher?
Yes, yes, I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So what's going on, Gregory?
I spent my day working on some legislative things and then watched a delightful Senate hearing.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I followed your Twitter feed this afternoon while I was watching. It was very interesting to see some of the comments. What did you get out of it?
Not much. I was very happy that at least Senator Alexander from Tennessee and Senator Burr from North Carolina, that they asked some questions of Senator Harkin, or rather of Mitch Zeller and Tim McAfee. Senator Harkin, meanwhile, was dawdling, confused, and ridiculous to the point where any serious journalist, I would like to think, watching that hearing didn't take him particularly seriously. So that is my hope.
It got out of hand at some point. He was he kept repeating himself. He was stuck on that one subject of kids, and I mean, he basically just beat the dead horse to pulp. He just kept going on and on and on.
And he repeatedly, twice, asked about, well, shouldn't e-cigarettes be regulated as drug delivery devices? And twice, Mitch Zeller had to explain to him that the Cetera decision forbid that. And then he even had to turn to a staffer and had the staffer whisper in his ears, well, yeah, that's true. And he turned around and said, you're right. So I was very happy to see that Senator Harkin was the only anti-e-cigarette senator that showed up. Sheldon Whitehouse from Rhode Island only popped in to commend CVS, which I believe is in his state, for not selling tobacco products anymore, and didn't say a word about the deeming regulation or e-cigarettes from what I heard. So it was just Senator Harkin.
By the way, Smoke Free episode number 3 is the flavor study. If you want to listen to that podcast, it's on the VP Live archive page. Gregory, I found something really, really interesting today when Mitch Zeller talked about the Cetera case. And I had Cynthia Cabrera on from Spotlight last night on Smoke Free Radio, and we talked a little bit about this. All the talk seems to surround this case. This is what kind of determined the e-cig future. And what appears, what Mitch Zeller was saying, that it was determined in court that we can't regulate this as medicine, barring cessation claims, or therapeutic claims, I should say. And it made it appear that the court ruling there was that e-cigs will be regulated as tobacco, but that is not the case, right?
No, they just said that that is one possible course of action to take. And it's true, and it's unfortunate that they've interpreted it in a way that's self-serving.
Can we do anything about that?
You have to wait until it's lawsuit time.
Yeah.
And then you challenge what you can, and there's lots of arguments to be made, and I'm sure people like Azim are working hard on that right now.
Sure. We got another person that joined our little roundtable discussion today, Mr. Linc Williams from Nick Vape and Aimza. How you doing, Linc?
Not too bad. Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. Better late than never. You came in right at the right time as we're getting into deeper this conversation. From what you've heard so far, anything that you want to add? I'm sure that you saw the Senate hearing today.
Actually, I didn't. I was in client meetings all day, so I missed it. But I did frantically last night compose a bunch of letters and get a bunch of people to write letters to South Carolina, Mr. Smith, to see if we can get him to pose some questions. So I'm waiting to see the transcript to see if they actually got asked.
Was Smith there today, Mr. Conley?
No. What happened was that Senator Burr, or maybe Senator Alexander, those two were the only people that were even there to ask questions from the Republican side. No one else was there. And I know Bill Godshall, some of what, it was either Alexander or Burr, and I think it was Alexander that was reading some information and saying things like, well, we have studies from overseas showing that there isn't a gateway effect, and said something else, and I knew that was coming directly from Bill Godshaw,
Yeah.
who had been in direct contact with a staffer. So I was glad to see that at least we had Alexander and Burr, who Burr we should expect because he comes from North Carolina,
Sure.
where Reynolds is housed.
Sure.
But very glad to see some questions being asked.
There was some. I want to get your comment on this, Gregory. When Burr asked that question to Mitch Zeller, that we have technology, we have innovation now, and that this product could potentially overtake tobacco, isn't that proof of harm reduction? Isn't that what we believe in?
Mm-hmm.
The dodgy answer that Mitch Zeller gave, and I want you to expand a little bit on that. I mean, I've never seen anybody dodge anything like that in my life. I mean, he took it from the question level, and then he started talking about, well, we have to look at the population and how the product is being used, and I mean, just a whole roundabout way of saying that, hey, we don't really care about tobacco harm reduction.
Yes, and that exemplifies why the Tobacco Control Act is the complete wrong regulatory vehicle for electronic cigarettes. But to describe it in a little more detail, Senator Alexander asked Mitch Zeller, are non-combustible products less hazardous than cigarettes? And Zeller answered yes. And then he answered, well, isn't that positive, or something to that extent?
Right.
And Zeller answered, I have to answer that question as a regulator. Or no, he asked him what his personal opinion was on e-cigarettes. I have to answer that question as a regulator.
Right, right. What a big farce, in my opinion. By the way, I just want to put a little plug here from you, Mr. Conley. I've been invited back to do another hour of radio here in Chattanooga, Talk Radio 102.3 on a mainstream radio station, which I'm kind of surprised that I was invited back. But Mr. Conley will be joining me for that hour as we're going to be discussing the FDA regulations here on 102.3 WGOW. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be exciting.
Post a live stream, Dimitri.
Certainly will. You can get the app on iHeartRadio, WGOW FM. Just a little plug. Linc, you came into this discussion. Let's talk a little bit about the flavorings. Let's talk a little bit about these labels that we talked about with you know, some of this, what they're targeting to kids, and some of these companies that are actually using labels. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, one, as an industry, we've got to mature on our labeling, and you know, there's something every e-cig manufacturer can do. I'm not going to say overnight, because changing labels is not a simple process, especially the larger they are, the more time it takes to work that into a manufacturing process. But it's a simple something. We don't have to call something Candy King. We can call it something completely different.
Sure.
And that can immediately remove one of the three legs of their arguments about marketing to children. So it's something that Nic Vape has actually started to undertake, is re-examining all of our flavoring names and going back and finding things that so that we're not subject to that criticism.
Linc, I just want to say that, full disclosure, I sell Nic Vape at my shop. And I just want to say that I was at a local hearing, as I said earlier, and I brought a bottle of Nic Vape, and some of the people were like, "Oh wow, it's got lot numbers on it," and "Oh wow, it's got warning on it," and I mean,
it actually tells you who manufactured and where it's manufactured at.
Yeah, and I do like that, and we need to be held up to this standard. We don't need pictures of zombies on the bottle or dead bunnies. We need information about the product.
I don't mind if there's pictures of zombies or dead bunnies or those things, but the basic information that a consumer needs to be able to trace that product back to its origin should be there. It's a fundamental belief of mine that you can't pick up a bottle of shampoo and not see where it's manufactured and who's responsible for the manufacturing.
And I know there's a non-argument here in the fact that your labels and most labels that do list ingredients say artificial flavorings. And a lot of people are like, why don't you tell me what flavorings are in it? Does Coke, does Pepsi tell you what flavorings are in that bottle? If you look at the label on a Pepsi bottle, it just says ingredients and artificial and natural flavors.
There is some kind of a trade secret agreement. Yeah. I'm sure that we can explore in the future as we find out more about these regulations. But since Gregory is here, this brings us to a really good point.
I want to jump in on labeling very quickly.
Go ahead.
There is an e-cigarette company out there, and I don't know who they are, but they are making an e-cigarette liquid that's called Juice E-Juice, and it is designed to look like a thing of Juicy Juice, the drink for children.
Oh,
Sure.
God.
I yelled at somebody at the expo in Chicago about this, and then he said, "Oh well, I'm just I buy it from somebody else. I'm just showing off different people's liquid." And I promptly told him, "You need to stop selling this and tell the wholesaler that he needs to stop distributing this." So I'd like to start a witch hunt tonight. If someone could find me who actually is responsible for that, I'd greatly appreciate it.
I will certainly. Well, I'm sure we'll have it by the end of the show, if not by the end of the night.
I mean, I was given a set of juice in Florida at VCCT that was called Carnival E-Juice, and it had pictures of carnival things on it, and it was all carnival flavors. I mean, you can make carnival flavored e-liquid. You can make, cotton candy and caramel popcorn and all that stuff you'd get at a carnival, but don't put pictures of the carnival on the bottle. It was great branding for a completely different industry. Wonderful branding in any industry but this one.
This brings me to another topic. It's a very similar topic, and I'm going to get to some of the questions from the chat and Twitter in just a second. This is very close with Gregory because we're going to talk about Enjoy. The past couple of days, Enjoy announced that they're going to go into the refillable market, even though for the past couple of years they've blasted the companies that make flavored e-liquid. They have been totally against it. They have supported the FDA stance of we should only have tobacco and menthol. We don't promote this to kids. Now, all of a sudden, out of the blue, here they come with a refillable product and 8 flavor profiles. Greg, what is your response?
Well, from the start, full disclosure, thanks to Enjoy, I was able to spend some time in Los Angeles and New York City working on their bans back in December and January. And I think it is very interesting because in a matter of weeks, Craig Weiss, who I've never met or talked to before, went from saying that, essentially coming out and flat out saying FDA should ban all flavors, to a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, saying that FDA needs to consider that some flavors are good, but others are bad. And then all of a sudden, 8 flavors. We all suspected that a second-generation product, and I think this, according to somebody on Twitter, I think it's a 600 mAh Ego with a CE4 or something.
Yeah, sure.
And we all knew it was coming. And I'm very glad to see it happen because I was worried that Enjoy, because they want to be the big guy, that Enjoy their second generation product would entail, for example, pre-filled cartomizers that were disposable, where they were 2 or 3 milliliters, but they were pre-filled and sealed so you couldn't refill them. That concerned me because that kind of innovation would lead Reynolds and such to follow, and then it would be very easy to argue, well, we don't need e-liquid anymore, we have these products. So,
interesting change of direction, though. I mean, you have to admit that it's not something that I expected to happen. If they, here we go, VaporLifeUSA.com, Gregory.
Valencia. I'm looking at it on ValenciaClouds.com, but it says it's from a company called Vapers Room on the bottle. So I'm going to do a little more research here.
Okay. We got our best man on it.
There we go.
But the Enjoy thing was a little bit disturbing to me because it kind of hinted as well on the direction of flavoring. So like we're putting out flavors, but we're putting like flavors that are not targeted to kids, right? So what determines is like adult flavor or non-adult flavor? So I'm gonna pose to you, Gregory, the same question that I asked Cynthia yesterday. We, as the community, have blasted Enjoy for taking that stance over the past couple of years. We worked together at the SFATA conference in Chicago, and we did kind of see, Enjoy there and trying to maybe turn around their image, if you want to call it that. And Cynthia had a great speech at the end where she said that no matter if you agree or if you disagree with some people, all you have to do is agree 80%, and then we can move forward and we can do good things. Do you think that Enjoy is 80%?
At the state level, Enjoy is 99%, and that's where 80% of my time is spent. Enjoy's state government relations team is not out trying to ban flavors, has never been out trying to ban flavors. They've been out fighting taxation, fighting state usage bans, hiring lobbyists. They are currently, aside from Reynolds, Altria, and Lorillard, they are the only e-cigarette representation in the California legislature. All those companies in California, and Enjoy is the only independent company that has representation in the entire state of California. So I will gladly defend Enjoy at the state level. At the federal level, I don't know if it's 80% because Enjoy hasn't signaled that they're against the new tobacco product regime. And to me, that's a little bit more than 20% of our issues.
That is a big fight, absolutely. Question for Greg. Senator Harkin said at the end of the hearing that it would be open for comments for 10 days. I believe he said comments. Does this mean it's worth reaching out to the other members of the HELP committee this week who did not attend today?
That's a Godshaw question. I don't know how you submit testimony, and I definitely think continuing to reach out, we need to really do some targeted campaigning in the House Energy and Commerce Committee, where there's a subcommittee that has oversight over the FDA, and we need to figure out how to convince them to hold a hearing on this.
By the way, I'm looking at juiceejuice.com. There's a website for it too, Greg. Believe it or not.
I actually am been digging through Instagram, and I found a couple of pictures of from their Instagram feed, and I found contact information in there. So
I wish you could dial on the air. I would leave a message for them.
It's already in your Skype though. So
I see the number. I will call them.
We can call them from the Hangout here.
We can't add phones on Hangouts on air.
Oh, we can't. Oh, that's unfortunate. That would have been funny. All right, let me take a question here from the chat. Link. What the hell happened to the We Are Vapers project? That is a very good question, and one that's been on a lot of people's minds.
Sure. So the We Are Vapers project is still going. We finished the principal filming. Unfortunately, I did lose my editor with it, so I'm currently talking to several people about taking up the editing phase of it, as well as I'm attempting during the deeming regulations this process to get some more filming. So the project is not dead. It's just not moving as fast as I would like.
And it's unfortunate because I think a lot of the content that was filmed about a year and a half ago is probably much irrelevant right now with the way that things have developed. But you know, it is one of these things. I'm pretty sad about it. I'm pretty upset about it, as a lot of people in the community are. But what can you do?
Well, it's something that I'm determined to not let it die, but it's just a matter of life that I've got to get the proper tools to be able to get it out. I think the stories are maybe not as impactful, but I think they'll always be relevant because they're the stories of smokers who have converted.
And yeah, that's always. I got people tweeting me about this Juicy Juice, Greg. You've created a monster. People are doing who is look up domains, who owns the domain, and all that.
There's a quick way to make the Juicy Juice go away, which is find out the people who make the actual kids drink and let them know.
Oh yeah, we should totally do that.
That's not as fun.
Yeah, it's not as fun as to.
Who makes Juicy Juice? Nestle. Ooh, they're big. They have lots of money. They could make this go away very quickly.
Gregory, let's touch a little bit about the meeting that happened in Chicago, this FADA conference. First one I've ever attended. I was really impressed, and I let everybody know my thoughts on my radio show. What was your impression of that meet? What did you take out of it?
I saw an industry that was beginning to, and in some ways finally had, gotten its stuff together. And you had a bunch of people that came to one location for an important meeting, and there was a sense that everybody there recognized, or at least after Kevin Altman's presentation did realize, how terrible the new tobacco product scheme as predicted by the FDA and as anticipated by the FDA, would be for this industry and for pretty much everybody in that room except for the compliance officer from Lorillard and our two state government friends at Enjoy.
Yeah. It was really interesting, when I was hearing the representative from Lorillard when she was speaking, all I was hearing is Lorillard is ready. Lorillard is ready. Lorillard is prepared. And then I'm looking at the rest of the folks in the room that are, small e-liquid manufacturers compared to those companies, and I'm looking at the despair in their face. And, it's not funny. It really isn't. But, it just kind of gives you the realization that, hey, maybe we should take some of this tobacco influence and use it in our industry as well, too, because if that's the way that these regulations are headed and they're already compliant or they're close to being compliant, maybe we could take some of that information and use it to our benefit, Greg.
Yes, and that's why, hell, at my level, working at the States, I take plenty of information from tobacco companies and large e-cigarette companies and learn from them.
Linc, as far as what you saw over there, you attended the SFATA conference in Chicago. What were your thoughts?
I thought one, it was I think it was great to see it happen. I kind of wish it would have been open to the full public to be able to see it and benefit from the information. I saw a lot of small players who I think are probably scared right at the moment, especially after listening to it. But my experience in the regulatory world and working in DC for so long is this is the first move. This is, the chessboard is finally revealed. So now we actually get to play the game. So final rules and proposed rules often look extremely different. And some of them never make it out of proposed. Look at the menthol. That's been going on for years and years. So this may take quite some time. I do take a lot of hope in the fact that throughout that document, I've never in a proposed rule ever seen them say, "We don't know," so many times.
Sure.
And that's a lot of powerful ammo for this industry to come back, especially since they're an organization that's supposed to be based on science. So coming in, and even in the meeting today with Mitch Zeller saying we don't know the long-term effects. We don't know and putting regulatory rules in place is not science-based. So there's an avenue of attack there. And once it's deemed, and if they put minimal use on it, as science becomes available, they have that framework to be able to address those issues. So a lot of the argument should be, yes, they should deem it a tobacco product to capture it under the net along with all nicotine products, but they should stop at basic labeling and manufacturing standards. And beyond that, it should stay there until there's actually science. The PMTA pathway is there to prevent more harmful products from coming onto the market. Well, they haven't even proved that they're harmful.
Yeah.
Period.
A lot of good information, and again, another sign that there were premature release of this based on the pressure from the senators. Gregory, I know you have to go. What do you got upcoming?
Let's see. Amazingly,
That's a loaded question.
amazingly, I have no traveling in the next 10 days, although that could very, very rapidly change. In June, though, June 5th and 6th, the SLS Hotel in Beverly Hills, the Vape Affiliates Conference.
Nice.
I'm going to be speaking there on Thursday, June 5th, and then like a week and a half later, I will be in Vegas for a show that I do not know the name of.
Vape Summit.
Vape Summit.
I'll be there.
Good. And then at the end of the month, I will be keynoting on behalf of the Heartland Institute at the Vaping Convention Circuit in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Fantastic. And now
Union Vaping Company is a silver sponsor.
I just now realized the mistake that I did when I introduced you, by the way. I just now got it. So I'm a little bit tired, so sorry. So I'm going to introduce you correctly before you leave. Follow Greg on Twitter, @GregTHR. His Twitter feed is fantastic. Always you can keep up with what's going on. Research fellow at the Heartland Institute and president of the American Vaping Association Board, Mr. Gregory Conley. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, and before Greg leaves, I just want to say you are in the presence of almost everyone here has been banned on Twitter by Dr. Stanley.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Meanwhile, I will proclaim my supremacy unless he has recently unfollowed me. For a long time, I was the only THR or not crazy person that Stanton Glantz followed on Twitter.
Really?
You're blocked now, though, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, really?
I'm going to check this.
When I try to follow him, it says he does not want me following him. But I can still view all his tweets, so it's very interesting.
He
still follows me, but I stopped attacking him.
He follows me still.
Wow, fantastic.
And I still attack him.
Fantastic. Maybe he likes you. I don't know. Maybe
He doesn't follow me.
I've been joined the block list of Glantz, which I think the block list is larger than his follower list. Anyway, thank you. Have a great evening, Gregory. Look forward to seeing you soon.
See ya.
By the way, May 23rd, right here on WGOW, me and Greg will be on the radio. That's pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
By the way, we are going to announce we have reached 10,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. That's fantastic. We are going to be giving away a DNA 30 Spider. Not this one. This one's mine. Courtesy of Mr. Dane. Tell us who this is courtesy of.
That would be Ed the Green at Smoke Free Mods. You can find him at smokefreemods.com and his Facebook group, Smoke Free Mods.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot to Ed for donating that for us. How are you going to win it? Stick around. We'll tell you at the end of this broadcast. Upcoming videos. What are we doing here on the Vape Team Media? Stephanie, what do you have planned?
I'm working on an interview with an 18-year-old that was smoking since he was 13.
That's fantastic.
And he's made the switch to e-cigs. He's currently using like an Ego CE4 type of setup. And it's just nailing down the actual time where he and I can coordinate our schedules. But he's a really cool kid.
And juice.
Not kid. And juice, lots of juice. I have 2 subscription boxes, one that I've shot the video for, and that should be up as soon as I can get it edited and uploaded. And then I have another one that I need to shoot ASAP. So, and another one on the way.
And you got one coming on the way. Yeah, the Zampo Box guys contacted us, and I forwarded them to you to check it out. But I'm looking forward to that interview with the 18-year-old. Today I got called by a reporter from USA Today that she's doing a story on e-cigs and college kids. And I said, why are you doing a story on college kids and e-cigs? I don't see what the point of it is. And they're like, oh, maybe it's a fad. And I'm like, no, there's not a fad. A college kid that's 20 years old that's smoking, probably started smoking at 13 and 14. There's already 6 years addicted to a tobacco product. If they switch to an e-cig, that is fantastic. There is no story here. But I went on and gave her the whole spiel for about 45 minutes, about what e-cigs are, because they have absolutely no clue. But those stories need to get out there, and stories like the 73-year-old woman or the 18-year-old kid, and we're calling them kid because we're all a bunch of old farts.
Right.
They need to be out there and letting people know how this product is being used, and it's not being abused. It's simply a tobacco harm reduction tool. Dane, what do you have coming up?
I have a Skype interview that I'll be conducting tomorrow with the owners and makers of Hooligan Vapes Juice. They have a very interesting story. And, of course, I'll be out on the streets visiting vape shops all over. So if anyone wants me to stop by, you know where to email us, and chances are I could probably get out there.
Info@vapeteam.com. If you want us to come out and shoot some video at your store, we'd be more than happy to. If you want us to take a look at a subject, let me check the Twitter feed. All right, Mr. James, what are you working on?
I have to unmute myself again.
Yes.
That's important.
Yes. The battery safety video is going to be coming up pretty soon here. There's a lot of information to gather for that one, so I can't give you an ETA on that. One of the important things, too, is battery disposal. I don't think people pay enough attention to that. Under California's universal waste rule, they have a law where they can fine you up to $25,000 per day if they discover that you are trying to dispose of batteries in the trash, and that includes common alkaline batteries as well as lithium ions. However, if you go to Home Depot, they have a disposal area for those batteries.
And Best Buy.
Best Buy too. There's a lot of different manufacturers or retailers that have those. But I'm going to be doing that. The next video coming up is probably going to be about cloud caps. Now, cloud caps are Pyrex atomizer tops from cleantanks.biz, and I'm going to have Blake on from cleantanks.biz.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a little discussion about that. But they offer these Pyrex caps for the Patriot, the Atomic, the Helios, the Nimbus, and the Trident. So a lot of options there for people who like their drippers.
I want one.
Yeah, they're really unique looking.
Do you think is there going to be any problem with the heat with the glass?
I don't believe so because they're using the borosilicate glass, the Pyrex glass, so that's a high heat application. So I would imagine it's going to be a lot cleaner. And also, the drip tip area is actually wider as well. So for the people that like to cloud chase, that's never a bad thing.
Yes, yes. Well, I'd like to try one. I don't know. I got the clear cap for the not a clear. It's just a clear polycarbonate cap for the Helios, but you can't really see the vapor inside. I guess that's the whole key to having a clear cap, like a glass cap to see the vapor. I don't know. I'll probably use it for 6 hours and then put it to the side like I do most of my stuff. All right, Mr. Linc Williams, what do you got coming up?
My big thing is tonight I'm actually writing my presentation for the TMA conference next week in Williamsburg, Virginia. I'll be talking about the evolution of e-liquid manufacturing over the last 5 years, and starting with how we started and what DIY looked like all the way through to where current manufacturers are and what kind of the next generation of manufacturers, what I think they're going to look like.
I am going to be at the TMA as well. I'll talk about where I have to travel. We'll talk about a busy schedule, Jamie. You'll freak out when you hear what I have to do. But one of the comments, briefly, Linc, that I got yesterday when I was doing Smoke Free Radio with Cynthia, we're talking about the TMAs, is a few people messaged me and tweeted me and said, why would you go to the Tobacco Merchants Association? Why would you want to associate yourself with the tobacco? So address that briefly if you can.
Yeah, so the Tobacco Merchants Association originally started back when tobacco was in its prime, and it was a business intelligence type of apparatus that gathered news on regulation and those type of items. Over the years, it's evolved, though. They sponsor the world's largest tobacco harm reduction conference, this annual conference, every year for the last 10 years, really focusing on what are the harm reduction alternatives, how public health, government, and the tobacco industry can all come together to find harm reduction strategies and policies. So they've got a rich history of trying to bring all of those things together. And it is literally the only conference where I can meet with Laura Lard, Mitch Zeller, David Abrams.
I don't know why you want to meet with him.
But all of them
I understand.
In the same room.
Yeah.
It is the only place where you will see all of them together.
It'll be kind of an out-of-body experience for me to sit in that and listen to those panels speaking, and I've never been to one. I know you were at the one last year. What is the policy on recording there, by the way? Let's put that up there.
So they record the sessions. Two, they don't prohibit anybody from recording except for the dinner, the social dinner at night. So the sessions and those type of things are typically open for recording. In fact, I've done for the We Are Vapers documentary a lot of the professional and scientific interviews I got there at TMA.
And that's my goal. I think I'm going to take my little MP3 recorder and record audio from the sessions, and then since I'm going to have the hotel room, maybe I can pull a few people back and do some interviews there for Vape Team Media, short 10, 15-minute videos that we can upload and kind of get their thoughts on the process. But I'm looking forward to it from an education standpoint, just like I was with the SPADA conference in Chicago. I got so much information out of it that was invaluable to me, to the vapers, to the industry, and to the people that I know, and now the people that I work for as well. So I think it's going to be. I'm really excited about it. Jamie, how are you enjoying your semi-civilian life after Vape Team on Wednesday night?
Geez, Dimitri. I leave this thing and now I have another thing. I haven't had a day off since Easter. I know how you feel.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not traveling as much, but you got a lot of good things going on. The store is coming together. A lot of great customers. There are a lot of great people in the Boston area that don't know about vaping, and I'm doing my best to get the word out there. If you're in the Boston area, stop by. Let's have a vape. I had a fan come in the other day and said, "I've been watching you for years," and it's always a weird experience when that happens.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. It never happens to me when I'm around Phil Busardo. Speaking of Phil Busardo, yeah, go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
And of course, New England Vaping Company is a silver sponsor at Vaping Convention Circuit New England. I'm sure I'll see you and Linc there. And
Absolutely.
I don't know how much I'll be able to run the mobile rig, but I'm sure someone will be able to do it.
Well, we'll have the whole team there again, I'm assuming. So we're certainly going to have a lot of people to be able to help. I want to see if I can bring this up here.
When you book that flying to Boston, so you can hang out with me, and then we'll go out there.
Let me see if I can pull this up here.
First message. Hi, Patri. This is Sally.
That's not what I want. Here.
Deleted. End of messages. Check erased messages. Press 1-9. Send. Press 2. No. First erased message. Hi, Dimitri. This is Sally. Deleted. End of messages. Send.
I can't. I deleted it. I had a message on my voicemail. Oh my god! I can't believe I deleted the wrong one. I had a message. Phil Busardo called me.
Oh.
And I was busy and I couldn't answer it. So he leaves a voicemail and he says, "Do you know who I am? I never call anybody. Why aren't you answering the phone?" I was like, "Oh god." But programming note. This weekend, if you're in Delaware, me and Phil Busardo will be at the grand opening of Delaware Vapor. My good friend Andrew, maker of the delicious methylated green peach tea that I've been vaping forever. I'm very proud of where he's accomplished. So if you're in the Delaware area, come by and see us. Saturday, 1 to 7 p.m. at the Delaware Vapor store. You can find more information on Facebook. Then I'm heading to the TMAs. I'm driving down from Delaware to Virginia to attend the TMAs for the next 4 days. Then I am going to Miami with the entire Vape Team World Vapor
Except
Expo.
Jamie.
I'm sorry?
Except Jamie.
Except Jamie. Well, we might be able to convince him. And then I'm going to the Vape Summit in Las Vegas, and then I'm going to Greece. All that's in the next 45 days. So, yeah, a lot of traveling for me.
And New England. Don't forget New England.
New England, yeah, I'm coming back from Greece for New England, and then I'm going to go back to Greece. That's going to be after I go down. So, yeah, a lot of traveling, but I'm excited. I see some really good things happening. If Linc will back me up on this, I am not a pessimist when it comes to the e-cig industry. I think within the next 12 to 18 months, Linc, I think we're going to see some positive change. I think we're going to see some people really getting their act together. And in all honesty, if we want to succeed and if we want to continue, we have to do that.
Yeah, and I think I agree. This is the time, and I said this at the last conference when I was giving my speech. This is the time to see who's going to put their big boy pants on and who isn't. Either you're going to step up and start to mature your business so that you're there, and you're going to continue to be there, and you're going to put aside your petty small competitive differences and join together, or you're not going to exist. And I think you're going to see it. I think you're seeing it already throughout the industry with people who are trying to educate their customers on what the FDA process is. The people who are not taking the doom and gloom route, but taking the approach of, we've been invited to the table, now let's come and show up and show them we know how to use our fork and knife.
I think we have a good chance. I feel positive. That's all I'm going to say.
Very positive, because as I said, I've never seen a proposed rule that's had this many questions or this many I don't knows, and those are all opportunities for us to give them those answers.
Sure.
And as a vapor, it's your job to know what you're vaping. If you don't, ask your vendors, let them know that you care about what you're vaping and that you want quality products with safe ingredients that are tested, and you want it to be made in a safe environment. We're past the point of I don't know. We're past the point of, well, it doesn't really matter. It is your turn to ask what you are purchasing, and if the vendor doesn't want to give you those answers, go somewhere else, because as we know at this point, there are thousands of juice vendors out there, but there are plenty that are doing it right, and it's your job to find them and buy good stuff and not buy stuff that has been hastily made or.
And it's your money and it's your health at the end of the day. I totally agree. I really enjoyed hanging out. Go ahead, Linc. Go ahead.
I want to just do everything because I get this question a lot, especially in our brick and mortar store, which is well, I don't have anything scientific to say, so all I have is my story, and the FDA is going to get a bunch of those, so it's not really worth my time. I don't think it's going to be listened to, etc. And I implore everybody, even if you just tell them your story about how you successfully made the switch, those they cannot ignore hundreds of thousands of stories saying that these products worked for me. And it takes a large number of those to do it. So don't get discouraged by I can't answer any of the scientific questions. That's okay. Still, tell your story. Tell it passionately, tell it respectfully, and you know what? It will have an effect.
I truly believe so. And don't say F the FDA when you're submitting your comments, please. Stop doing that. All right, let me give you some information on this contest. This is the way we're going to do it. By the way, I just want to put it out there that I really enjoyed being with the team again tonight. I really enjoyed it. We're going to be doing this hopefully once a month, time permitting for everybody, as everybody's schedule is pretty busy. And it was kind of hard nailing down this time. We're talking about Friday. I'm going out of town. Everybody else is going to go, their schedules. But hopefully we'll be able to do a roundtable once a month. So what we're going to do is to give away for our 10,000 subscribers contest, we're going to give away DNA 30 from Smoke Free Mods. All you have to do is when the replay of this episode goes up, comment and share. Pretty simple. Comment and share. You can only comment once. If you comment more than once, you'll be automatically disqualified. We're going to collect all the entries, all the comments, and then on the next live roundtable, we're going to draw a winner to see who's going to win the DNA 30 mod courtesy of Ed Green and Smoke Free Mods. Pretty simple, isn't it, Dane?
Can't get any easier than that.
Right.
And I like to use this old adage when it comes to the deeming regulations of the FDA. You can't lose a game that hasn't been played. This game hasn't been played yet, and don't fool yourselves thinking that it has. It hasn't. It hasn't been played yet. Pitchers are warming up. It's getting ready to get played, but it's not been played. We get in there, we fight, we win.
Nice. Very nice. Stephanie, let me get some final thoughts from you. Beautiful.
Well, it's good to see all of you. And Dane, I'm so glad that you're here. I just think the content that you're putting on the channel has been excellent. I told you that. And it's nice to be back here.
It's nice hanging out, and it's the first time that we've used this, but I actually like this Q&A system that's going on over there. I did see a question if James is going to be at the Vape Summit. I am not going as Vape Team at the Vape Summit. I've been invited to speak, so I'm going as Dimitri, the Vaping Greek. I'm not going as Vape Team representative, but of course, I'll shoot some video there and try to get something up for the channel. All right, let me get some final thoughts from you, Mr. James.
Well, I was thinking about the whole Stanton Glantz thing, and I think the reason that he has not blocked Greg, I can equate it to what Sun Tzu said in The Art of War. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And Greg is one of those guys that I would definitely want to be watching.
SDHR feed on Twitter.
That is pretty. That's pretty intense, but I'm glad that he's not blocked. I know pretty much everybody on my Twitter list has been blocked by him. We actually started a little club. I'm not only the club of the Stanton Glantz block list, I'm the president. All right, Linc, some final thoughts from you?
It's the absolute opposite of a fan club, right?
Yeah.
The final thoughts is keep your chin up. I look at it as we've been for years living under the threat of deeming regulations coming and having no idea what they look like. And now that cloud is lifted and there's some sunlight and we realize that there's a chessboard in front of us. We can see the pieces. Now we can actually start moving them.
Absolutely. And I'm not quite sure how we're going to do the live broadcast from Miami. I think we're going to use this format. Now, Dane, you've been working on something, a caster, right?
Yeah, and it works really, really well.
So we're probably going to be using YouTube live, Hangouts on air, whichever way it works out to be able to be broadcasting live from over there. But also we're going to create some content and edit some video like we've done in other meets to have a professional representation of the meets that we attend. All right. Don't forget, subscribe. You must be subscribed to win, okay? Subscribe, comment, and share this replay video for your chance to win the DNA Spider. As always, guys, keep fighting. This is the beginning of a long battle. We can win this. I hope you enjoyed the Vape Team Roundtable, and we'll see you again on the Vape Team Media channel itself or in our next live broadcast. Have a wonderful evening.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everyone.
Take care, folks.